Good afternoon, and to attempt number 2 of the John Williams, Jerry Goldsmith birthday discussion with my very special guest from the United Kingdom, Skirwinkle. How are you, sir?
Hi, I'm still fine. How are you?
I'm hoping the phone doesn't crap out on me again. We were just talking before the stream. I don't want to be like a tinfoil hat person, but I've not had any issues with this phone. It got paid off like 3 months ago, and now it's starting to act all cray-cray on me. So I'm thinking like a Tinder date. It's time to turn it in for a new one, which I plan to do on Monday. But we're not here to talk about Tinder dates or cell phones. John Williams had a birthday 2 days ago on the 8th. Jerry Goldsmith, his birthday would be today on the 10th. And I have that book.
Yes.
Yes. So we're just going to discuss all things Goldsmith and Williams and maybe some random stuff.
Do you have that book?
I do not have that book. What book is that?
That is Jerry Goldsmith, a musical comedian by the wonderfully named Christian Aguilera.
Is it written in American?
Well, it is translated from, I guess, Spanish. Yeah, Spanish.
Okay.
I would say, it's not the world's best translation.
Okay.
I would say, you're on the Kickstarter for Jeff Bonds, are you?
The two massive volumes. Yes.
Yeah. So I think when you get that, you won't need that. So,
okay. Are you excited to get that massive 2-volume set?
Indeed, yes. It's due fairly soon, isn't it? I think.
I think maybe a few more months. They're saying, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the hardback coming for me, and I ordered the paperback for Mr. Ian.
I went with the paperback.
I'm sure shipping's a little bit softer for the paperback for you.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. Welcome, Retro Reels. It's good to see you. And Victor Field. Hello, Victor. We're actually just starting. We're just getting started. Hello, Big Al. We got 3 people. Excellent.
Marvelous.
So when did you first discover Jerry Goldsmith?
Well, I would being a child of the 80s, and as I think I may have said to you before, my mum worked in the local cinema, and therefore, as a kid, I was kind of in the cinema. It was going to be as with Williams, those mid to late 80s big action movies things that those two guys were scoring. That's my first exposure to him. So, your Gremlins and Explorers and those kind of things.
What do you think was your first Goldsmith soundtrack that you bought?
Ooh. So it might have been one of the Rambos, perhaps. Actually, I've got a nice little folder here where I've got things in, and admittedly they're not in chronological order of my purchases, but it will remind me of the sort of things that I would have had. Yeah, probably Rambo 2 or something bizarre like that. What about you?
On LP or CD?
No CD. I didn't start buying soundtrack vinyl until a little bit later. My very first purchases were cassettes and CDs. I think
the first Goldsmith I bought was Total Recall.
I was working in the cinema when Total Recall came out, so I certainly would have been aware of that one, and I probably would have bought that at the time. I think, the original Short Varese one at the time.
It was a good album,
but I mean short relative to the expansions that have come out since. So I mean that was kind of, what was it, 1990? I was certainly collecting at about that point. It was probably 89, 90 that I started collecting, I think.
Hardcore?
Well,
I mean, not
it was the start
hardcore
of,
today,
it was the
of
start of
course.
his journey. Yeah,
But yeah. I think that's probably like 89, like 87, 88. You know, I got like, you know, the Indiana Jones and Star Wars and set. And then 89, I mean, the summer of 89, I think I started having more money. And, you know, you had Last Crusade, you had Lethal Weapon 2, Ghostbusters 2,
Predator 2.
Predator 2. Thank you for rubbing that in. I think that was 1990.
Yeah.
But yeah, that really kind of got it rolling, and then it's just been like bankruptcy after bankruptcy since then. So.
Well, you know, I think I don't know about you, but sort of soundtrack purchasing style and habits have changed as the bricks and mortar stores have diminished and the internet has grown. Because now, you know, it used to be that you'd kind of go to the big city and troll around the record shops that it had got that your local place hadn't got. And now you don't do that because you just got bookmarked 6 or 7 websites, haven't you? You know, you just go, oh, well, I'll go on eBay, Amazon, Discogs, and a bunch of record labels' own sites like you know, Intrada and La La Land and Quartet and the reseller sites and things like that. And you get the bloody emails from them saying, here's what we've got new this month. And you go, oh, yeah. Oh, no.
What does that word no mean? I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, well, I'm running out of room, mate.
Yeah.
I'm running out of room.
Yeah, I understand. Are you? Do you think you're more? If you had to pick a camp, Williams or Goldsmith, which camp would you be in?
Well, I mean, I physically own more Goldsmith than Williams, but I think
did
that's
more.
because he has done more. Yeah, exactly. Despite the fact that he's died and Williams is carried on, there's still more. Yeah, more prolific.
About twice the output for films.
Very possibly. I think I'm a Williams camp, to be honest with you. Don't forget Batman and the Abyss and License to Kill, says Victor. Yeah.
Yeah, 89 was like a phenomenal year for movies. I think that was the first modern summertime movie season of what we've grown accustomed to. You had sequels, you had tentpoles, you had the little odd film, you had a James Cameron film thrown in, you had everything that summer. That was such an awesome summer.
As a sort of spoiler for the questions that we've got rattling around in advance for the 2024 soundtrack tag challenge, which is hopefully coming up soon. One of the questions was about what year do you think you have got the largest number of soundtracks for? Have you got your sufficiently organized to have a sense of that?
No.
Or would it be just kind of plucking a probably number from the air?
I don't even know how to answer that question.
Fair enough. I'm one of these nerds who's kind of got everything catalogued in numerous different ways, which is really kind of annoying because when you buy a thing,
you've got spreadsheets. I've seen them.
I've got a spreadsheet, and I've obviously got a Discogs account, and I've got a soundtrackcollector.com account, and I've got a physical paper folder. It's terrible. You spend half an hour every time you buy a record just looking it everywhere. But it does mean that I think I know 1986 and then 1997 are the two highest numbers of years for soundtracks for me.
Really? What was 1997?
1997. Hang on a moment and let me fire up my Excel and I'll tell you.
Fire that up. John Renshaw, good to see you. He says when he was 15 in 1971, he would have been shocked at the availability of soundtracks in 2023. Yeah, it's a golden era to be a soundtrack collector. Good Lord. If it's been like this back when I was in high school, I would have had to have 3 jobs at McDonald's, Hardee's, and Burger King.
yeah, quite. Okay, I'll tell you. Now, obviously, when you ascribe a film to a particular year, it's kind of like, well, how are you defining that? And I think mostly I try and define it by the year that IMDb assigns to it. 1997, I've got Absolute Power, Air Force One, Alien Resurrection, Amistad, Amy Foster, Anna Karenina, Austin Powers, Batman and Robin. Obviously, that was a compilation songs thing that only got a track or two of Goldenthal, hadn't it? Con Air, Contact, Das Boot, The Edge, Face Off, Fairy Tale, A True Story, that's Zbigniew Preisner, Fierce Creatures, The Fifth Element, Flubber, The Full Monty, Gattaca, Gentlemen Don't Eat Poets, Great Expectations, Jackie Brown, Kull the Conqueror, Kundun, LA Confidential, Local Hero, Lolita, The Lost World, The Man Who Knew Too Little, Men in Black, Mimic, Mouse Hunt, Mrs. Brown, Mrs. Dalloway. There was a James Bernard sort of rescoring of Nosferatu. The Odyssey, The Peacemaker, Perdita Durango, Photographing Fairies, Princess Mononoke, Rosanna's Grave, Rosewood, this is John Williams, The Saint, The Second Jungle Book, Selena, 7 Years in Tibet, Shadow Conspiracy, Shooting Fish, Small Soldiers, Snow White, A Tale of Terror, Starship Troopers, Titanic, Tomorrow Never Dies, Turbulence, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Un Air Si Pure, Wag the Dog, Walking Thunder, Warriors of Virtue, Wild, Wings of the Dove. Yeah, that's my 1997 answers for you. There's quite a few good ones. I mean, I think, what did I mention? Photographing Fairies was, I think, one of my most recent purchases. That's only on digital. I bought that straight from Simon Boswell's Bandcamp page. I would recommend that. It's a good score.
Well, I'm not that organized in my collection. But you mentioned Air Force One, which was phenomenal Goldsmith score that he like whipped out in like 2 weeks or something like that.
Well, if we had Ian on here, he could wax lyrical about that for all evening.
I think that is his favorite score. What would be one of your favorite Goldsmith scores?
My favorite Goldsmiths, certainly The Shadow.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You've got to kind of pick something. This is the thing: is whenever someone talks about your favorites of either a genre or a particular composer, you're aware that there are obvious answers that are just very well-known things. But there's also that kind of fear that if you name that obvious, very well-known thing, people will go, "Oh, well, he doesn't know enough about this." And so there is the tendency to kind of name something really obscure just to show off.
Well, I do love The Shadow very much, but I didn't think you would pick The Shadow. I thought you would maybe go like Alien or.
No, well, I mean, Alien is to a certain extent like Planet of the Apes is a thing that you admire.
I can't
for its
listen
cleverness, but you don't necessarily listen to it a lot because it's not tuneful. No, so Shadow, Under Fire, obviously some Star Treks. Out of the Star Treks, I would say the motion picture and First Contact are probably top of the list for me. The Gremlins, Bandolero. If you want one that's kind of not expected, how about Fierce Creatures? Fierce Creatures, that's a very short score. That's one that's not going to get an expansion because I think there's only maybe like 20-25 minutes of actual scoring on that, but I do like that. I know you're a big fan of Russia House. I was playing a bit of that on my CD player in the kitchen before coming on here.
Yeah, I do love the Russia House, despite it being recycled from 3 other films. It was rejected from Wall Street. What were the other films that it got rejected from?
That I don't know.
And then it finally found a home with the Russia House. Alien Nation. That was going to be Alien Nation.
Oh, right.
Yeah, which sounds weird to me, but that's what it was. John Redshaw says Goldsmith has the 3 Ps: Planet of the Apes, Patton, and Poltergeist.
Okay.
I just can't listen to Planet of the Apes. Poltergeist, yeah. Patton, yes.
Yeah, yeah. I bet there are other P's in his output. I would have thought.
I enjoyed MacArthur more than Patton, though.
A Patch of Blue. Yeah. Yeah, not all that many P's actually. Yeah. How do you kind of rate? Well, this the further back you go in their oeuvre, both Williams and Goldsmith, the more you kind of converge on that kind of 60s sort of jazzy kind of style before they kind of established their own individual voices. How do you feel about those kind of 60s ones that you kind of go, this could be Williams, could be Goldsmith, could be Grusin, could be Previn, could be anybody. Surprise, says Victor, he's found another one. Yeah.
Like some of the 60s Williams stuff for like just like the crazy, like that 60s, you know. John Goldfarber, Please Come Home.
Fitzwillie, I like.
Fitzwillie, I enjoy Fitzwillie.
Yeah.
It's also like listening to it, it's like that's very 60s. I guess it's like you listen to like a 90s Hans Zimmer, be like, that's Hans Zimmer in the 1990s.
Yeah.
But you know, like I was talking to the girl at the coffee shop the other day, and I said, "Do you know whose birthday is today?" She's like, "No." I'm like, "I'll give you $1,000 if you can guess it." And she's like, "George Washington." I'm like, "No." And then she went through like all the presents. I'm like, "No, it's John Williams." And she's like, "Oh, John Williams, who's that?" I'm like, "You just look it up on your damn phone." And she's like, "Oh, you must like Star Wars." I'm like, "Sweetheart, there's so much more than Star Wars."
But you go, but yes, I do, as it happens, yes.
And I was thinking, I'm like, you know, but I think this, like the 70s, if I had to rank the top 10 John Williams scores from the 70s, I'm not sure Star Wars would make it in the top 10.
Okay.
I don't. I mean, you'd be Jane Eyre and the Cowboys, number 1 and number 2. I'm not too sure where they would fall. You got Black Sunday. You got Dracula. You got Superman. You got Jaws. You got Jaws 2, which was just a complete departure from Jaws 1.
Yeah. John says the Cowboys and the Reavers.
You got the Reavers. Yeah. Maybe Star Wars be like not. Oh yes, the Fury. See, Star Wars is getting further out.
Yeah. And I like the Iger Sanction.
Yes, the Iger Sanction.
So I was glad when they did an expansion for that. You guys know that I'm one of those people who is not sufficiently of a completist that I will buy every expansion. I know some people do. I kind of pick and choose with the expansions. So like Always was expanded a couple of years ago, and I went, no. Whereas Iger Sanction and Dracula, I go, yeah, I'll have that. You
didn't get the Always expansion?
No, I mean, if you had to rank your John Williams, you know, you were kind of saying about putting your top ones for the 70s.
Yeah.
If you had to rank them all, it'd be really difficult and you couldn't do it. But there would be some that would be nearer the bottom and some that would be nearer the top. And for me, personally, Always is in that bottom half, along with, you know, Stepmom and maybe
Images.
Sleepers. Images would be somewhere in the middle. It had that kind of reputation. People said, "Oh, it's not John Williams like. It's not, you know, it's a bit weird." And so I kind of got that in my head. Don't expect it to be John Williams like. And then when I finally bought it, it was like, it's not that weird.
Like, I would put it with the reincarnation of Peter Proud for Jerry Goldsmith. It's just like, okay, you know, like you got a paycheck to do this, so I'm happy for you. But you know,
oh, Victor's cut. Yeah, tearing your phone at 1941, 1941.
John Renshaw says Cowboys and the Reavers, and then Don Ranger, he wrote a lot. Happy Lunar New Year to you as well.
Yes, and happy Chinese New Year to you all as well. It's the year of the dragon. So go
Amen.
away and listen to some Lalo shivering Bruce Lee or something.
Don says the NBC nightly news theme for John Williams. Yes. And the Olympic theme for like the past 20 years. He's written one for the Olympics a couple
Yeah, well,
times.
you see, those things like NBC Nightly News, those are things that are probably embedded in the mindset of you Americans. But for us in the UK, it's like when it appears on some compilation CD, will we ever kind of go, "Oh, that's a thing, is it?" Okay,
It is. Don mentioned Star Trek: The Motion Picture used as the Next Generation theme.
Yes,
for the TV show.
yes, just kind of sped up a bit and kind of made a bit more jaunty. Yeah.
Victor mentions the Towering Inferno, which I can live without the Towering Inferno, but 1941, yes.
Yeah, Towering Inferno I had for years on vinyl, along with Earthquake. And then, of course, there was that nice box set CD with those two and Poseidon Adventure that I kind of held out on for a long time on the grounds of, I've got the originals of all of these. And then I kind of went, yeah, but I want that. So I got it.
Yeah, I paid a lot of money for the Towering Inferno. Earthquake wasn't too bad. Poseidon Adventure was a lot. Towering Inferno was a lot on the secondary market. And then they did like that 3-disc set for like the price of not even what I paid for, I think, Towering Inferno.
For one of them. Ouch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's fine. It's a better presentation. It makes it available for everybody now, so you're not going back paying, $200 something off.
Oh, absolutely.
Amazon,
absolutely.
I don't begrudge any time a new edition comes out. I paid a lot of money for it. That was my choice. I could live with the decision at that time, so I'm good. If you drop a new one the next day, hey, just one more thing for me to buy. I'm cool.
There are a lot of things that are on one's kind of vaguely, I'd quite like that list, but which are kind of, there's only old ones available that people are selling for huge amounts, and you kind of go, while you're asking 90, 100, 150 pounds for this, you can go stick it. And I just kind of keep an eye in case suddenly one day someone sells it for 35 and you kind of go, I'll have that before someone else snaps it up. Or one of the labels reissues it and you kind of go, oh, there you go. And then you're not going to get your 90, 100, 150 quid for it now. Things like Christopher Young's Flowers in the Attic or Henry Mancini's Without a Clue. Things like that.
I just bought that.
Oh, have you? Well, yeah. I hope you didn't pay 150 for it.
No, I think I paid 20, 25.
Oh, well done. Marvellous.
Yeah.
It's always good when you find something like that at a decent price and you got to go, ooh, thank you.
Actually, it may be an import, but I'm good with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of those things, you kind of go, because they're so dear, I've got them as digital downloads.
Yeah.
Just so that you know what the music's like and you've got it. But you do feel that if you found a legitimate hard copy of it, it would be nice to have.
Well, if Entrada, Quartet, or whoever released a new copy tomorrow, I just buy it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like that. What was that twofer they just did recently? Heidi and
Jane Eyre.
And Jane Eyre, which of course you bought for the Jane Eyre, and then discovered that it hadn't been expanded all that much.
I've got, I think, a German release of Jane Eyre that's got more music on it than that.
Well, but as you say, Jane Eyre was one of those film scores that I think we both like very much. I think Williams thinks of it as one of his favourites of his own, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other half of it, I know you weren't all that bothered about Heidi, but it was nice to have an expansion where you've got the score presentation without the narration.
It was.
Which was nice.
I put it in the CD player, and I'm like, well, I mean, it sounds better than the previous editions,
Yeah.
But no, I was excited for Jane Eyre,
No, well, I think I'd read the track list on the sales page, so I knew what I was getting in terms of how much more Jane Eyre there was going to be. I.e., not all that much.
John says he's feeling old because he remembers Goldsmith from the Man from Uncle theme and John Williams from Lost in Space.
Lost in
John,
Space, yeah, and Time Tunnel, and yeah.
Lost in Space, Sunday morning at my grandparents' house. Whenever I listen to Lost in Space, I'm taken back to my grandparents' house on a Sunday morning because it always ran on ABC at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I was up to watch it.
No, I never saw all those kind of things as a kid. Williams and Goldsmith among regular composers on the original Amazing Stories.
They were.
Yeah.
That was a potpourri of composers. Danny Elfman, Alan Silvestri, Bruce Broughton.
Yep.
Did Thomas Newman do anything on Amazing Stories?
Not sure that he did.
And can we get a reissue box set of those scores, please?
Yeah. Let me just bring that up.
Those are some pricey discs on the secondary market.
I've got a couple of those. I got the single disc one that had got just the John Williams, the Mission, and then the George de la Rue, Dorothy and Ben. But there was a 4-disc. Well, I think it was like Anthology 1 and Anthology 2, wasn't there? Yeah, so I've got Anthology 1.
There's three from Entrada. I think each one has 2 discs.
Oh, that's right, yeah. So it's number 1 that I've got. Yeah, that's got Williams, it's got James Horner, Broughton, De La Rue, Billy Goldenberg, David Shire, Elfman and Bartek, Lenny Niehaus, Bruce Broughton and Williams again. Yeah. So that's what's on that issue. I don't know about the others. I haven't got those.
I have a complete set, just saying. But
yeah, I'm sure you have.
I do. They're out there with all the others. Victor first noticed Goldsmith for Masada. Yeah, he did the first half of the miniseries. Was that right?
And then Morton Gold for the other half.
The second half, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I had the LP of that for a long time and enjoyed that. And of course, then they did that 4-disc box fairly recently. That I managed to find at a definitely reasonable price off of an eBay seller, and I was jolly pleased to do so. Victor says yes, Thomas Newman did do one.
Amazing story. Okay.
Cool.
What would be your favorite Williams score?
Last Crusade.
Really?
Last Crusade. Yeah, definitely Last Crusade.
More than Temple of Doom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's not as much music in Last Crusade as Temple of Doom.
Well, fair enough.
No, I'm just saying.
They're all good. Well, they're
not all good.
Let's talk briefly about the 5 Indiana Jones movies. 1, 2, and 3 are all very good. 4 is better than the movie that it's attached to. 5, I know you are.
It is an Indiana Jones score.
5, I know you are very annoyed about.
I don't think those words convey the meaning of what's in my heart and my soul.
Well, I don't dislike it in the way that you do. My reaction to number 5 is, it's okay. It's a lot of rehashery of old stuff.
You mean cut and paste?
And of course it's got featuring your favorite soloist.
Yeah.
So I can see why you might be wanting to kick it out the door. But I don't mind it. It's all right. In terms of Williams's very, very recent output, obviously it's that and Fabelmans, and a lot of people were kind of like about Fabelmans when that came out on the grounds that it was a short album, and it was sharing Williams's stuff with some classical pieces. I actually really rather liked it as a kind of quite a sort of a little jewel of a thing. I liked it.
It was a colossal letdown for me.
I was
like, what's the point? Like, where's the rest of Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like your mom says, "I got you a birthday cake," and you're like, "Woohoo!" You know, you get home and it's like a cupcake.
And it's a
It's like,
cupcake. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, well, where the hell's my birthday cake? Like, this is it. Like, the cupcake.
Yeah.
It-
I mean,
it-
we got to admit he's not what he was.
okay, okay. You know, let's take that and run with it. Okay, Dial of Destiny. Do you think what we got it because that's what he was told to do? Do you think there were some decisions made in the editing booth where they're like, let's just take these other things and splice them together, kind of like they did in Attack of the Clones, and just make something that we think people will like more? Or you think he actually sat there and be like, let's just take this track from Belly of the Steel Beast and take this track from Raiders for the airplane fight, and let's take this track from over here, and let's take this track from Tintin and just drop them in here? I mean, what do you honestly think happened?
Honestly, I have no idea. Who knows? Who knows about the kind of the politics of a veteran like him dealing with the current studio executive and weird decision making processes versus how he's feeling in himself as a composer these days. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, we still, every time he kind of says, okay, I've retired from film composing, I'm just going to concentrate on concert stuff, and then goes back on it, which he's kind of done a couple of times now. It's like, oh, well, you know, if the right film came along, I wouldn't be averse. And then everybody kind of goes, boo, oh, hooray, boo, oh, hooray. You know, what do we think we're going to get out of him in terms of film school? We're not going to get
E.T.
a big bombastic action movie with a new iconic memorable theme like we would have got from him out of, you know, any time between, you know, 1974 and 1997. We're not going to get that, are we? You know, if we do get new stuff from him, it's going to be gentle, sort of Americana, melancholy, isn't it? Really? Do you think?
The Star Wars scores were good. I didn't watch that last one, whatever it was called. I was done after the Last Jedi. I walked out and I'm like, yeah, well, we're finished here. I did buy the soundtrack. I did listen to it, and I enjoyed it. I'm like, oh hey, it's got Luke and Leia in there. And then only later I found out they're using that for like Lando smooching on the girl that's supposed to be his daughter. And I'm like, what the hell? And then I later learned that J.J. Abrams told John Williams to use Luke and Leia's theme there for reasons. And he's like, okay, that's cool, because apparently that's what he does. If he's told to do something, he just does it.
Well,
so that's why I'm like, with Dial Destiny, maybe James Mangold can be like, hey, I really like these tracks right here. Can you just like smoosh them together and put them in the opening? And he's like, okay, sure, because you're paying me to do a job.
Boss, you're the director. I'll do. Well, who knows?
Yeah,
who knows?
That's always been his MO. It seems when you look back on all the interviews he's done, he's like, well, the director wanted this, so that's what I did. Okay, you know.
Yeah, so there's. I mean, everybody knows of him as being a nice guy, but you kind of go, does that mean that you can also be a doormat to be walked all over? Because you can imagine sort of the slightly more irascible types like Roger and Goldsmith kind of going, no, I know better. I'm the composer. I want to do this. I want to do this. And let's, you know, we'll put it to you show it with my idea and see how it goes down. and then if everybody hates it, then you can take it out and overrule me. Fine, but you know.
John says that he's half retired. I'm like, yeah, and I'm not faulting, man. I mean, when I'm 92, I don't think I'll be working. You know, I'm not gonna be flying all over the world, conducting concerts or even flying all over the world just to see stuff. I mean, I'd be like, hey man, I got my porch, got my Coca-Cola, I'm good.
Yeah. He says doesn't think he's got the stamina to create the scores he once did. Well,
he does write. He writes like what 10 hours every day. He says, except Sunday. I think he only writes for 6 hours. And
Slacker.
yes. It's like, man, I got up so late today. I didn't wake up till 5:30. But
but yeah, I mean, you know, you got to cut the. As you say, he's in his 90s. You know, you're not going to kind of crack the whip on the poor guy, are you?
no. But I want one more. I want a Hook. I want an ET. I want.
Yeah, what you want is
It's just
something
one
that will
more.
be
Just
that will be
one more
that will
score like
be
that.
original, iconic, and Oscar nomination worthy.
Yes.
Yeah, something
Yes.
that if he gets a nomination for it, it's not because it's John Williams, but
Right.
because it's good.
Yeah. Fablemans, I'm like, okay, you know, whatever. Dial of Destiny? Hell no. Hell to the no. I can't. If that wins, I'm like,
you're going to be going round there to. Is it still Grauman's Chinese Theatre? It probably isn't, is it? No. Being restrained by the security guards at the door.
Like, I was talking to like a friend of the channel, and I asked him, like, did you order Hook? And he's like, no, I think I'm gonna pass. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Why are you passing on Hook? He's like, well, I didn't really. Shut up. Your opinion doesn't matter. That movie has more thematic material than probably 3 Star Wars films.
I'm glad that when you asked me if I'd got Hook earlier on, I said yes. I know there are sometimes things that you kind of say, have you got such and such? And I will say no, or one of the rest of us will say no. And your response is, why are we even friends?
I'm blocking you from social media.
Not everybody has to get all the things that you get, because, you know.
I understand that, but when you look back at Hook, you know, that was that's the most thematic score from the 90s. Is there one that's got more themes in it from the 90s for John Williams?
Oh, who knows?
I don't think there is. I don't think there's been one since. Maybe 1010, but I don't think 1010 is as good as Hook.
It's funny because at the time of the original release, the CD they did for Hook was quite a long one.
70 minutes. Yeah.
Because I think we were used in those days to a lot of soundtracks being
45,
45 minutes or whatever it is. Yeah. And actually, when I got that, I had a bit of kind of fatigue of it's like, oh, God, this is going on towards the end of it. But, you know, you kind of, in later years where you get more acclimatized to longer releases, you go back and revisit it and you kind of go, no, it's not a problem in the way that
it's missing so much music.
Well, yeah, then you get that kind of recent one where you learn all about the kind of song demos and all that kind of stuff. You go, oh, yeah, it's interesting to have all that new material. Absolutely.
John says John Williams is a great artist. He might surprise us, but it's okay if he doesn't. Yeah, I mean, his body of work is phenomenal. You can't knock it. But I would just like, I so wanted that last Indiana Jones score to just be like,
just knock it out of the park.
Thank you, God in heaven. Thank you for this. I will be listening to this like every day for the next 20 years. That's what I wanted. And it's like, I got an advanced copy on digital from sources, and I got like 15 minutes into it, and I'm just like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, well, of course, I was caught up in the ridiculousness of the physical releases of it through the Disney Emporium, where it was like, we've announced the CD, and we're only sending it through us, and it's not available right at now. And it's like, what are you doing? So at that point, because it looked like it was never going to be available, I ordered the vinyl, and that was like on pre-order. So it's like, yes, this is confirmed, but you're not going to get it for a few months. And then, you know, those windows for buying the CD kept opening and closing and opening and closing. And I think thanks to Neil in Retro Reels, he kind of pointed out to me one of the brief windows when it was open. He said, quick, if you want it, get it now. So I thought, well, I do, because I prefer things on CD than on vinyl. Like Ian, we both kind of feel that, you know, the convenience of the small format combined with the better resilience of the sound quality, you know, it's not going to be great, is a preference. So I thought, okay, well, I'll buy the CD as well. So I ended up with it on both formats, because the CD came and then the vinyl came somewhat later as well. And so, okay, well, I've got this thing, and having listened to it, it's kind of okay. So, you know, yeah, I mean, I know you hate it. I kind of, as I say, think it's okay. If it had been released in a normal manner through a normal set of channels, like all the regular resellers, you know, if it had been on Amazon and everybody else, then I would have just bought the CD and not the vinyl. But yeah.
Well, I ordered both today. They came up, and I was looking at the CD. I'm like, it's only like $12. I should just get a copy for all my friends and tell them, like, hey,
yeah.
I got your copy. And then
hey guys, how old are you generous? Yeah.
And then it came out that it was like not for sale. I'm like, what? And then it started popping up on eBay for like $500 to $1,000, and I'm just like,
the numpties who were doing that, you could just tell them to get stuff, can't you? Really, but
Disney didn't ship me my CD until the vinyl was available. So they shipped them both at the same time.
Yeah.
I opened it, filed the vinyl away with the records. I got my camera out. I took pictures of the CD. I posted it on eBay. I made about $500.
Oh, really? Oh,
and I'm not looking back. It's the only John Williams soundtrack I will not have on CD, and I'm perfectly fine. I don't care.
Okay. I'll tell you something else. I was disappointed by the print presentation of it. The artwork, and then the typography over the artwork. It was just not very good. I you know, quite a visual person. I like nice typography and nice print presentation and graphic design.
It's part of the experience.
Yeah, and it's kind of like you've recreated the Indiana Jones title logo, not used the original version. You've made it more subdued colors. You've flattened it out instead of having it kind of ascending in a nice arc. And you've put it in the wrong place on the cover, because it's a nice empty area in the top left-hand corner of the artwork that the artist obviously made empty so that you could put stuff in it, and then you put it in the bottom corner. Why did you do that? It's like album design 101, and it's just failed. I really, yeah.
Okay, so Goldsmith, was his final score the Bugs Bunny movie?
Looney Tunes Back in Action. Yes,
Looney
I think it was.
Yeah, that's just bonkers. That's a bonkers score for your ears. It's like pouring Pop Rocks in your ears and mixing it up with Coca-Cola. It's crazy. But he was dying of cancer when he wrote that. It's an amazing score. And
yeah, but he wasn't in his 90s though.
Okay, he had cancer.
Yes, true.
Okay, so
he's way well up against the other.
Yeah,
illness versus age.
No, he doesn't have. It's like I think with the last Star Wars movies, John Williams put everything in there. He threw everything in there that he could, and they're amazing. But
it's a shame the films were a bit kind of.
The films are garbage. I'm just talking about the scores. Just the scores. But then we got Fablemans, and we got Now Destiny. Okay, whatever. I need one more score.
Masterpiece.
Or give me like a 30-minute concert suite that's not written for a German lady strangling a violin.
It's you know what? It's funny. He's done concertos for a number of instruments over the years, hasn't he? As well as the violin, 2 violin ones. Is flute and tuba and cello, I think, and horn and things. You know what? I'd like him to do a theremin concerto. I really would. It's like,
that.
Yeah, Get Carolina Ike as the soloist. Get him to do a theremin concerto. It's just something different, you know. And
I like that idea.
He's very susceptible to pretty young women. You know how he kind of fell for Daisy Ridley, and he's obviously fallen under the spell of Anne Sophie in the same way that that Previn did.
I'm like, she
so
says like,
you
oh,
gotta go,
I baked him some chocolate chip cookies, and I'm like, dude, I'll bake you all the chocolate chip cookies, dude.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking, just show him some YouTube clips of Carolina Ike playing the theremin, and he might go, "Oh yeah, I'll do that."
John said he's looking forward to the documentary on. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. I would also like maybe Mr. Bond, when he gets done with this Goldsmith book, he'll do a
biography. Yeah, it's odd that there hasn't been one, isn't it? Maybe they are waiting for. Yeah.
Yeah, and John, don't think I'm very glad he's still with us too. I try to make as many concerts every year as I can. I'm a little bit hyperbolic and flamboyant in expressing opinions sometimes.
You're talking about kind of his concert schedule and his travel schedule. Of course, he's still occasionally coming across to Europe and doing things in Vienna or Prague or Berlin or whatever. It seems like after that one abortive attempt to do a concert in London, which was it, 2017, 2018? I think it's 2018.
I was almost at that concert too.
Well, I was at that concert. It's just that he wasn't. After the fact that he came to London and he got sick, you get the feeling that he's kind of said to himself, "I'm not bloody going to London again," which is really annoying for us British John Williams fans. I mean, we all went along, and it was like the Albert Hall kind of sent a message saying, "You've got your ticket. We've had notification that unfortunately Mr. Williams is not going to be here, and in his place he's assigned his friend, the composer and conductor Dirk Brosse, to run the concert on his behalf." And you have the option, you can go along and watch it with Maestro Brosse, or you can get a refund on your ticket. And I think most of us went, you know what, we've paid our money, we're going to be in the company of a lot of other John Williams fans, we're going to hear his music, it can be a tribute to him, what the hell, we're going to go along anyway. I don't think they had many cancellations, people asking for the refunds. Because it was still a packed house. It was nice. It was a good concert. It was just a shame that John wasn't there.
Yeah, my mother told me, she's like, "Well, if you get a ticket, I'll get you the plane ticket for your birthday." And I'm like, "Okay." And I had my alarm set. I woke up. I think it was like 1 o'clock in the morning to get in the queue, and I saw my number. It kept dropping. I was in queue for I think maybe 2 hours, and I was within like 200. I was number 200 and something, and I'm like, "It's going to happen. It's going to happen." And then it said this event is sold out. And I was like, oh. And I started looking online. People wanted thousands of dollars for their tickets. I'm just like, it was so tempting. It was so tempting. But you know what? If I had, I would have been getting off a plane and I would have gotten the message. Oh, man. It would.
Retro Real says no hopes of him coming to the Anvil then. You can I should be so sodding lucky. The Anvil is my local concert hall. Yeah. It's like I think the biggest name in film music that has ever come to the Anvil was Ron Goodwin, because he lived in kind of Reading, so he used to do a couple of concerts there, which I went to. But if John Williams was going to do a concert in the UK, it would be in London, wouldn't it? It would either be in the Albert Hall or maybe the Royal Festival Hall. It wouldn't be in some provincial town. No.
Well, where did you meet him at? Well, what's the story?
Who? Which?
John Williams.
I haven't met him.
How'd you get the Reavers autographed?
I bought it online.
Oh,
There was a guy who was. Oh, Ian, sorry I can't hang around. I will catch up with the replay. Yeah, suffice it to say, Goldsmith #1 and Williams #2 for you. Yeah, okay. I think we know that.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way to skip out. Goldsmith's better. I gotta run. Bye.
Yeah, stay well, dude. Yeah. Where was that? Yes, there was somebody who had obviously built up a collection, who was kind of the sort of person who goes to concerts by the composers and gets their records signed, who had obviously either died or something, and therefore their relatives were flocking off their entire collection, and it had got like signed Miklos Rozsa and Max Steiner LPs in it for like $500. And this guy, yeah, but no. And I was looking through it going, you know, if I was the kind of person with infinite money, I'd be kind of going, yeah, I'll have loads of these. But there was a John Williams, which was the Reavers, and it was like 70 quid. And I thought, well, you know, that's...
Yeah, I'd pay that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought, you know. So I did. So that's why I've got that. Yeah.
I've got the Fury autograph from John Williams. I've got a couple other like sheet music's autograph from him.
And that was from you actually attending and getting him to sign them, was it then?
No, it's from eBay.
That's from me. Have you had any composers that you have sort of got physically signed in their presence?
No, because every time I talk to Keith Lockhart, I'm just chit chatting with him just like a person, and I don't feel like asking him for an autograph. I don't know, but
yeah.
But I've got Wind in the Line autographed by Goldsmith.
Oh, that's very nice. Yeah,
and I've got Lawrence of Arabia from Maurice Jarre, and I've got the Shire theme written out on paper from Howard Shore, and I got someone else. I just can't remember who it is. Oh, I've got Eno Morricone on some sheet music for, I think, The Mission.
All right. Yeah, that's signed things that I've got are usually just kind of bought online. Sometimes where you knew they were going to be signed, and sometimes where you just bought the thing and it just happened to arrive and it was signed. I mean, I've got John Scott's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea has got, you know, to John, hope you have a very happy birthday from John on it. And you're going to go, my name's not John. Johan Johansson, Sicario, got signed. Some Bear McCreary and Ben Salisbury and Jeff Barrow.
You got James Horner?
No.
He didn't seem to sign much of anything.
I've got Michael J. Lewis, Theatre of Blood. Michael J. Lewis's signature is just like... It's like, there's letters in that, are there? Okay, fine. I think the only one... I went to a concert of music by female composers, and Jocelyn Pook was there, so I got her to sign one of hers. Can't remember what it was now.
I was going to ask John, do you live in Boston? I'm just curious. I go up for the Boston Pops several times a year, and you said the first concert you saw was with the Boston Symphony. So I'm just curious if you're in Boston.
So it's Seiji Ozawa.
Yeah, he recently died.
Yeah.
What's the most underrated John Williams score, you think?
Oh, underrated John Williams score. That's a difficult one. Well, I mean, underrated by whom? There's a question, isn't there? Because there's underplayed by kind of radio stations and things. Because they always.
How about what's an overrated John Williams score?
that's tough as well. I tell you what gets on my nerves is when you've got a soundtrack where one track from it is really famous, and all you ever hear from it is that one track. Like for Williams, it'll be "Hymn to the Fallen" from Saving Private Ryan. You kind of go, that disc has got more than that one track on it, you know. It's like for Giacchino, "Up." You kind of go, "Married Life." That disc's got more tracks than that on it, you know. I don't know, underrated or overrated. If you've got a thought, I mean, you're going to say Dial of Destiny is overrated, but what's your thought for an underrated Williams then? And I'll look at my list while you're thinking of that.
I think The Accidental Tourist needs to get more love.
Yeah.
I don't care for Schindler's List that much. That always makes like the top 10 John Williams scores. It's always got Schindler's List on. I'm like, I don't care for it that much.
I mean, I don't play it that often, but I do appreciate it. Yeah. So I'm tempted to say Heartbeeps. Ha ha ha.
Heartbeeps is pretty good.
Yeah. It's got almost his only attempt at kind of sort of electronica in it, hasn't it? Sort of synth music.
Hello, Sound Engraver. She's joining us. We're celebrating John Williams' birthday from the 8th and Jerry Goldsmith from the 10th, which is today. And here's that Copeland book she is referencing. I just picked this up at the thrift store.
How about Angela's Ashes? That doesn't get a lot of love. I quite liked Angela's Ashes.
I like it more than Schindler's List.
Yeah.
But see, like in the States, the release that we got had Talking on it.
All right.
That y'all got had no Talking. I wonder if that would get an LP release at some point.
Don't know. You kind of go, if it did, it would be something like Movies on Vinyl, wouldn't it?
500 units, yeah. Because they just did The Book Thief.
And it's in a similar sort of vein to that and a similar sort of era to that, isn't it? Yeah.
Did you get The Book Thief?
No, I'm happy with the CD on that.
I ordered 3 copies. I've only received 1.
Rosewood?
Yeah.
That was one of those films in that era where you were still going to Amistad, says Victor. Yeah. In that era when you were still going to record shops rather than buying things online. And I remember going up to London and I was just leafing through the racks and it's like, Rosewood, John Williams, I've never even heard of this. And I took it out. It's like, I know nothing about this. And I just bought it. It had no publicity, no kind of, here's the new John Williams, like it would have done if it had been a Spielberg or Lucas movie.
And he was the replacement on that film. It was originally scored by, was it Branford Marsalis? But
let's look in our copy of...
But John Singleton just did not like the score, and he asked John Williams to do it, and he said yes.
Rosewood, page 296.
John says he saw Williams conduct in 1985 at Carnegie Hall and then at Central Park. I bet that Central Park concert was interesting.
Lucky guy. I think there was a period where both Williams and Goldsmith would make moderately regular concert appearances in London. And I think I was just too young to be that interested at the time. And looking back in hindsight of knowing how they then wouldn't, it's like I should have gone to those things, but I was like 18, 19 or whatever,
I was watching John Williams and Boston Pops probably from like 7th grade on until he retired from the Boston Pops. he still conducts a few concerts. Most years, they haven't dropped the spring schedule yet, but I know they've got 2 nights of John Williams film music in Tanglewood. Tanglewood's such a pain to get to. I'm kind of anti-Tanglewood. And it's so expensive to get to Tanglewood. You have to like fly into Boston, rent a car, drive 4 hours across the state, stay at a hotel in the middle of nowhere for like $500 a night. It's like no.
No, I'm not a fan of traveling any great distance. Otherwise, I probably would have gone to the Vienna or Prague concerts. But yeah, I'm gonna go if he ever reappears in the UK, anywhere in the UK. But beyond that, it's like
that was just his second time conducting since what, the 80s?
Well, quite, yeah. It was kind of a big deal that he was coming because he'd not been here for decades. Yeah.
If I was him, I'd be there at least twice a year because you get a free trip out of it.
Yeah. And I mean, at the time, obviously, all the recordings that he did with the LSO were because of kind of union rates and things, and it was just cheaper to do so than it was in the States. But he did at the time seem to build up quite a relationship with the LSO, and certainly espoused their quality ever since. So yeah, on the assumption that it's not just him being a nice guy, like he isn't being very polite and pleasant about everybody, because I mean plenty of other film composers have done a lot of work with them as well. You've got to assume that he would be happy to work with them and they would be happy to work with him even now.
Yeah. Speaking about LSO, I wish they did more film soundtracks like they used to. They don't seem to do a whole lot of them anymore. Yeah. If I come across a new one that says performed by the London Symphony Orchestra, I just buy it for that fact at this point.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not keeping track of what their recent output is, but anywho, I did have some thought. How did you get into film music in the very first place? What was your kind of
I just like the big thing was Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom. I would just watch those movies over and over and over, and then of course Star Wars. And sometimes I wonder if Steven Spielberg had not made Indiana Jones movies, would I be a film score collector now? Would I have the movie poster collection now? I wonder, because it's like, would it have just been replaced with Star Wars? Because when I was really young, I played with Star Wars toys, and I transitioned to G.I. Joe and Transformers. But then you kind of reach the age where you've got to grow up and transition out of those things. And I think I found Indiana Jones and wanting to be an archaeologist and loving those films so much. I mean, that wasn't a far leap from Star Wars, but you still got Harrison Ford. But I think Raiders was the linchpin that held everything together for me. And I just started buying soundtracks. Once like 8th grade came, I started going to the movies more often. And then once 9th grade came, it's like every summer, every Friday, I was watching a movie every Friday. And then I would just go up to the mall, and I would end up buying the soundtrack. And here I am, more than 5 years later.
Do you go to the cinema much these days?
No,
neither do I. Very rarely now. It's just so expensive.
There's nothing coming out I want to see.
Well, there's that too, but yeah.
It's like I was excited for Oppenheimer because I thought, man, we're gonna get like a dramatic Hans Zimmer score, and then it's like, oh, he's not scoring it, and it's like, okay, and like Tenet was coming out, I'm like, oh, Like I knew I'd like, nope, Hans Zimmer's not doing it. And like I just can't get into
Goranson.
yeah, I can't get into his work. It's like it's not doing it for me. But there's no shortage of things to buy.
No, quite.
I've thanks to Eric Woods, bastard, I've gotten into like horror films now, and because of you, I want to be cultured like you. I'm looking at foreign film stuff, and it's like,
well, it's funny when you talk about kind of branching out. I kind of felt that when I started, it was current scores for current, major American and British movies. So yeah, it was
which
the
was
new
like
stuff.
the early '90s. I'm thinking you were buying a lot. Yeah,
exactly. So you've got Goldsmith and Williams and Kamen and Polydorus and
James Horner
and Horner and then this new guy Danny Elfman was coming on the scene, but it was also Brits like George Fenton and maybe sort of Trevor Jones, although he's South African, but those kinds of names. And the first branching out that I did was, let's look back historically and learn about the people from the Golden Age. So I kind of then went and learned about Korngold and Roja and Steiner and Waxman and then filled in the gaps in between with kind of Herman and early Bernstein and those kind of people. And then I decided I wanted to spread geographically. So I was like, let's look in other places because, you're aware that France and Italy have got big filmmaking traditions and big name composers. So, you're looking at your Georges Delerue and your Michel Legrands and then your Rotas and Morricones and Bruno Nicolai and then Japan. And then I started kind of looking at a map and going, well, is there anybody in Russia? Who is there in Russia? Who is there in South America? Who is there in Asia? The big undiscovered country for me still is there's very little film music from continental Africa. There's there's a few things around the edge, and that's about it. And you kind of go, does Central Africa have a filmmaking tradition? I have no idea. If there is, there's not much recorded releases of it. And then it's other styles. Then it's it's okay. Yeah, nice, lush, orchestral, post-romantic stuff. What about electronica? Where are the good bits of synth and electronic music? And then the kind of prevailing fashions change, don't they? And you get the kind of sound design scores and drone scores, which the good ones are good, but there are an awful lot that are a bit dull, aren't there?
Yeah. If it hadn't been for Williams or Goldsmith, do you think you would be the collector you are today?
Probably not. I mean, certainly, yeah, Don's saying kind of news themes. Certainly those two guys, I mean, in my collection, they're way ahead of everybody else in terms of numbers.
True.
Slightly over 100 scores by Williams, plus the various kind of concert pieces and compilation box sets and things.
Do you have the Boston Pop CDs?
Compilation thing and some of the individuals. Yeah. And then Goldsmith's kind of 130 or something like that. And then the next largest number after them for anybody else is maybe 50. So it's less than half. And then a lot of kind of people at 30s and 40s. So would I have? I probably not. I think as a teen, if it before I got into film music, it was certainly classical rather than. I was never a big pop music listener or collector. I mean, I've got a few.
No Spice Girls?
No. They're a little bit after my time, but no, I mean, in terms of pop, I had, I do like the Art of Noise. I still like the Art of Noise. I had some Dire Straits. I bought a lot of the Eagles on cassette in the hope of finding something that was as good as either Hotel California or Journey of the Sorcerer, and the answer is nothing else is. Everything else is just all kind of sort of country rock, which is not my kind of thing. Those two tracks I love, and then nothing else. It's like, so those cassettes don't get a lot of play. But apart from those bands, it's not a lot of pop. So yeah, I was buying cheap classical in my local Woolworths for like £1 or something. Beethoven and Tchaikovsky and things. So I probably would have been listening to classical instead of film music if it weren't for Williams and Goldsmith and guys like that, at any rate.
Don brings up the Boston Pops Christmas concert. Yeah, I would watch that on PBS back in the day. Now I go every year with the family and we watch it.
Yeah, John's naming some other things here. Peter Shickley, of course, passed away only last month, so silent running. Yeah. You know what? I think I've got Amarcord. I haven't got Barry Lyndon. I haven't got the Andromeda Strain. How about you? Have you got some or all of those?
I've got the Andromeda Strain. I've got Barry Lyndon.
It's a shame that Peter Shickley didn't write any more film scores. That's a kind of one-hit wonder. I mean, obviously he's better known for PDQ Bach stuff, but Silent Running was a good score, so it's a shame he didn't do others. I don't know why.
Do you do anything to celebrate John Williams' birthday or Jerry Goldsmith's birthday normally?
What do you want to make this off a cake with their face on or something? What? No, I'll fish out a couple of discs and play some of their music. I mean, obviously Thursday was a work day, so I didn't have a huge amount of free time. Today I've stuck on. What did I stick on? Well, obviously I said I was playing Russia House because I know you like it immediately before this. I put on Bad Girls.
Oh man, I haven't thought about that in a while.
Well, that was one. I mean, I do like Goldsmith's westerns, and I liked that when it came out, and I was aware I haven't played it for a long time, so it's like I don't remember much about that. No. So I put that on, and then I played Love Field, just on the grounds of seeing that on the shelf and thinking I have no recollection of what that's like. So it's like played that. So I played a couple of Jerry's today. What about you?
I guess like Eric, I'll listen to some closing credits for John Williams. Jerry Goldsmith doesn't seem to write closing credits the way John Williams used to, but I guess the go-to Williams stuff would be Russia House, Total Recall, Wind in the Lion,
and Ghost in the Darkness. Those
Ghost in the Darkness. I enjoy Congo, but I mean, Mr. Baseball by far. That's me being silly, y'all. Mr. Baseball, I kind of hit or miss.
Runaway.
Oh yeah. Did you like The Last Castle?
Do you know what I can't breathe. I think I'm struggling to remember whether I've even got The Last Castle. I think I probably have, and if I have, I've got it recently. And
the expanded is still available on Entrada. I just have the standard.
Right. No, That and City Hall. I bought the standard ones of fairly recently, very cheaply online. I think I've probably only played them the once, so they're probably fine, but I don't really remember.
Victor's got a Goldsmith Spotify list.
How organised? Yes.
I don't have a Spotify.
I only use Spotify for listening to a couple of podcasts, so I don't really use it for music. I mean, I've links to a couple of music things, but I don't really play them. No, a couple of speech podcasts. That's all I use Spotify for, really.
So you've never seen John Williams conduct in person?
Nope.
Okay. Would you go to Boston to see him conduct?
Yeah. I'm not a.
It's like a 6-hour flight from.
I'm not an international traveler, really. So no, I don't think I would.
Okay, well, I'm just going to tell you, if they got John Williams Film Night at the Boston Pops in May or June, I'm buying tickets. I get early access because I'm a patron. If you want a ticket, I'll get you a ticket. If you don't mind sharing a hotel room, I got you covered. You just need to get your airplane ticket, and you can come to Boston.
No, I don't think I would. I think I would chicken out.
Okay.
Offer it to Ian.
I have. He's like, well, cool. I'm like, okay.
Okay. Nah.
I told Eric, I'm like, come on, let's do it. Let's do another trip. And he's like, I'm busy with work. I'm like, okay. Y'all and your jobs. I'm like, just can't be like, tell your boss, I gotta go somewhere. I'll be back later. You got a problem? That's on you.
Yeah. No, I don't think I would.
Okay, sorry. Well, I'll let you know when the schedule drops, and if you want a ticket, I'll get you a ticket. And I'm already in Boston, so you don't have to worry about a hotel room.
John says, yeah, other Goldsmith Wesley. Well, yeah, I mean, Bandolero's got a fabulous theme, hasn't it? Wild Rovers, I can't. That's another one that needs a replay because I can't remember much about it. Oh, Victor managed to go to one of the London concerts. So that's back in the day, was it then?
I remember there's a cassette recorder on the TV to record something.
Yeah.
I remember that very well. Don't give me a copyright strike.
Well, from me whistling.
Well, I guess I'll probably need to get back out to work here pretty quick, but I appreciate you coming on and discussing John Williams and Jerry Goldsmith.
Amongst other things, yeah.
Where can people find you? You have a YouTube channel.
I do, and I'm also on various social media under Skirwinkle, Twitter, or nobody's calling it X, are they? Blue Sky, Mastodon, Skirwinkle under all of those. And yes, YouTube channel with my monthly, here's all the toot I've bought this month.
I wonder if I could just do like a giant one every month, just like save everything up. And
it would mean you'd have to edit the bits together rather than just, here I am today with this is what I've had, which is probably easier for you.
It is. Yes.
Yeah. And it means that you end up with shorter videos so that people are going to look at mine and go, God, he's blathered on for 35 minutes. Whereas look at one of yours and it's like 8, 12, 15 minutes. And they go, oh, what's that? No wonder I get like 7 views on each of my videos, you know.
Well, I hope everyone enjoyed celebrating John Williams' birthday on Thursday. And Jerry Goldsmith, you still got time today. Go out and get a birthday cake with his picture on it. And
I've been looking online at like t-shirts. It's like there are some t-shirts with Jerry Goldsmith on them. They're a bit naff. So there we are.
Yes, Don. I hear the Super Bowl is tomorrow. Do y'all watch that in the UK?
I'm sure some people do. Most of us know. It's
Yeah.
not part of our world, really. And especially not me, because I'm not a sport follower. Don't tell Eric.
I'm not either. So and I live in Alabama. I'm like, whatever. But as always, Adopt, Don't Shop. Keep listening to great film music. Hopefully, regular content will be returning to this channel shortly. Everyone has this thing called life going on, and actually, John Williams did write a bit for the NFL. So, yeah, and ESPN. It just doesn't have an official release. So, thank you everyone for stopping by who contributed to the chat, and we'll see all of y'all later. Take care.
Bye.